we are at our introductory episode of Hear Ourselves Talk History. I'm Walt Gursky, and I like to hear myself talk.
And I'm Jason Janicek. When I'm not marching through history, I also like to hear myself talk history.
Excellent.
So, what are we doing here?
Well, we're going to just kind of talk about what we are planning to do with this nightmare and see where we're going to go from there.
Okay.
Kind of how we got here and where we hope to end up that is hopefully not institutionalized.
True. And where we're going to end up is, I don't know. No, what we're doing here is this is kind of like a progression of things that Walter and I have done. Anyone who knows us knows that we are self-professed history nerds, specifically military history nerds. I tend to have a focus and a fascination on the American Civil War, but it tends to broaden to most things American military history related.
Yeah, and mine kind of started from World War II and just kind of grew from there. Goes forward to the end of the Cold War and goes back to whenever I decide it stops. So you never know what you're going to get with us.
Yeah, we kind of came together. We kind of both started like a little online thing. I had a page that eventually morphed into something that I call Marching Through History, where I usually just put commentary and share things and put vacation pics when I go to historical places. Been a little bit dormant. I got to get cracking the whip and actually be getting stuff on there. Walter's been a little more active on the World Wide Web out there.
Yes, I started out being bored during COVID and decided I was going to do a day-by-day account of the fall of Berlin just because it happened to be the 75th anniversary and I was on lockdown and had nothing better to do. And I kind of enjoyed that, so kept that going as a Facebook page for a while. And eventually I decided to just get a domain and make my own webpage, kind of doing the same thing, talking about, historical battles, biographies, firearms, whatever I decided I felt like I wanted to write about that day. And that just kind of snowballed from there, and here we sit.
And for all those Scani followers that we have, because we have so many of them, he's talking Berlin, Germany, not that Berlin, Wisconsin. I know that probably got a lot of you excited down there, but we came together. We first had our first collaboration a couple years ago, which is on YouTube when we did that anniversary presentation on the Doolittle Raid and George Barr. So that's something, he's kind of a focus for both of us. So you're going to hear about the Doolittle Raid and specifically Ashland's own George Barr quite a bit when we do things. That was our first major collaboration, and I would say that was generally a success, wouldn't you?
I would think so. We ended up with a full house, and we certainly weren't expecting that. So.
Yes, and then we followed that up with our second collaboration was a D-Day event, which was a little more chaotic because we kind of went into a little unrehearsed and it was a little bit longer than we planned. So
yeah, we have got to wing it now.
It was the most interesting 2.5 hours of your life if you're ever interested in hearing us ramble on about the D-Day invasion of 1944, which is got many fascinating aspects to it, and so we'll probably talk about that a little bit too. But we're not going to talk so much about history today. We're just going to kind of talk about, again, like Walter had mentioned, what we plan to do on this. And what we had came up with was we have this little thing that we came up with called Iron Jaw Productions, where we're going to share some of our enthusiasm in the digital world. And because I have my place, Marching Through History.
English is hard.
He's got his English as a first language is hard, I guess, some days. He's got his page, Hear Myself Talk History, and we kind of put them together, and we've got this conglomerate organization that we call Iron Jaw Productions. And what is exactly is Iron Jaw? Well, Iron Jaw is, it's me. It's Mr. Walter. It is we can't do this without technical support, so we have our producer, editor, technical advisor, photographer, videographer, Jeremy, who can let himself be. And there is Jeremy right there. He's our behind-the-scenes expert. He was brought in after some disastrous attempts at previous videography people, right, Walter?
Yes, we had to take that guy, and he was fired. He's just gone. We don't talk about him anymore.
Yes. So, yes, I forget what his name is. Willie, something.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, but he's good riddance. So welcome, Jeremy, to
Some fat guy. I don't know.
the team. But
We're a better shot of him.
yes. So that's kind of what Iron Giant is. We're here to share some of our history enthusiasm with y'all out there, the three of you that watch us on a regular basis from some of our previous ventures. What are we looking to do? We're going to get together sometimes and talk about historical subjects here. I should say where we're at. Where are we?
I don't know. Where are we?
We are at the Chequamegon Veterans Center in Ashland, Wisconsin, which is the home of American Legion Post 90 and VFW Post 690. They graciously allow us to use their facility. It helps that I'm on the board. But no, it's the Chequamegon Veterans Center is has this beautiful library and history room that they allow us to film in. But I should say that anything we do or say is not necessarily the opinion or the official position of the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign War, or the Chequamegon Veterans Center. I think we're supposed to say that.
That sounds good to me.
Good. Yeah.
Gotta be careful. We don't want to anger our hosts.
Yes. But no, seriously, this is just our own opinions rambling along, and we do have opinions. As even much as we try to be bring you straightforward history, our opinions are going to come out, and that'll be obvious. And well, it's our show.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so no, we're gonna do a little podcast where we pick on historical subjects and talk. We've done some examples of that in the past, where like Walter's talked about like the Battle of Manila. We had posted that on YouTube.
If you ever have trouble falling asleep, it's excellent subject matter.
Yes, but
Listening to me ramble for an hour and a half or whatever it ended up being.
and me nodding and looking smart, like I know what he's saying. But and a few other things. We're gonna, sometimes we want to like go out on locations and bring you both local history and history from other places. Most of it will be focused on military history. And being the history nerds we are, we're also going to have like book talks, because we love sharing the books that we read, the authors that we like, and we want to bring those to you as well too. Anything else?
Well, we're also going to have some discussion about some historical artifacts. I'm a collector of militaria. So, keep an eye out for stuff like that. We could be talking about things like the fascinating history of canteen cups and things like that. Nope, couldn't do that one with a straight face. But nonetheless, we'll be doing stuff like that. And of course, maybe sometimes we'll get to go out in the field and use some of that equipment and kind of do some live demos. And so that'll be kind of entertaining.
So we're looking forward to bringing you along on this journey. It won't cost you anything. There is no fare at all.
No, we pay our camera guy in rapidly inflating Reich marks. So,
yes,
such is life.
And like I said, today was just kind of a free-form babbling session. They're not all going to be like this. We will be focused.
We promise there will be a point eventually.
Yes. And we do another venture that we're excited about this year that we really want to mention is, instead of just hearing us talk all the time, we are embarking on, again, using the Chequamegon Veterans Center as a host and a sponsor, the Chequamegon Veterans Center Military History Speaker Series. We already have one confirmed speaker. Our goal is to 3 or 4 times a year bring in experts on a military history topic that we think might be of interest to the local Chequamegon Bay area and let them talk. Our first confirmed speaker is actually the last scheduled speaker for the summer, and I'm just going to give him a shout out real quick. Mike O'Connor from the Wausau area, Marathon County area, wrote a biography of Dick Bong from Poplar called Ace of Aces. He's going to be here on September 18th, which is actually the U.S. Air Force birthday, to give his presentation on the Ace of Aces, Dick Bong. And you're going to start seeing some advertising all about that. That's a free presentation. He's going to have some books to sell. He's written books. There's two primary books are Ace of Aces, and Badger Aces, which is on Wisconsin Fighter Aces from 1917 to 1972. These will be for sale in September when he is here. We're looking to have a few more this year between April and September, and tentatively our first speaker will be
Possibly myself. I'm hoping to do a presentation on the fall of Berlin and the end of World War II in Europe. So, kind of like the ones we've done in the past, but definitely not as big, because usually we've focused on those local connections, and there's at least one tangential one there, but in this case it's more of a trivia fact than anything else. So, but nonetheless, it's a fascinating episode of military history that really doesn't have a lot of parallel with two major industrialized powers coming to the conclusion of total war with complete annihilation of one side or the other.
no, and there's a lot more to the fall of Berlin than just the end of World War II and the death of. I guess I don't want to give any spoilers about who dies during the fall of Berlin.
Let's just say there's going to be two dictators involved, and only one of them is coming out.
Yes. But there's a lot of political undercurrent. You've got,
Government implosion, the collapse of essentially the civil services aspect of it, because it's not just military collapse; it's the complete collapse of the state.
But there's also a lot of
occurring at the same time.
There's a lot of the back and forth between the Allies, the big three: Russia, Great Britain, the United States.
Yes.
And there's a lot of.
Not to mention the fact that due to a just fierce desire to never admit that things were going poorly, that there was never an attempt to evacuate the civilian population. So the average Joe on the street was literally caught on the streets as the fighting enveloped the city. So there's a lot of human suffering that's involved in there as well.
So, and everything that happened there leads directly into what became known as the Cold War.
Yes.
And it divided Berlin and it divided Germany. And it set the stage for
really the rest of the 20th century.
Yeah, the rest of the 20th century till the and stuff like that. But no, we're excited. And I guess without further ado, I think we've kind of covered the ground that we're going to do.
I think we have. So look forward to seeing you in future as we progress along this path to wherever it's going to lead.
Same nerd channel, same nerd time. See you there.